breakfast with Jesus. Some of the disciples fished all night but didn't catch anything. By morning, their bellies were as empty as their nets, and it was time for breakfast. As the sun rose, the disciples heard a voice from the shore. "You haven't caught any fish, have you?" "No, not one all night," they called back. "Well, throw your nets out again on the other side of the boat," the voice told them. Now, don't you bet they were wondering why in the world they had to throw it on the other side of the boat when they hadn't caught fish all night. But they did. With a gentle swoosh, they dropped their nets in the water one more time. Immediately, fish came swimming and splashing and jumping into the nets. There were so many fish that they could barely lift the net with a heave and a grunt and pulled it into the boat. Do you know how many fish they pulled into the boat that morning? 153. As flopping fish filled the boat, the disciples realized that that voice belonged to Jesus. So they quickly paddled back to shore. Jesus sat by a small fire for breakfast. He was sharing breakfast with them. He was cooking fish and toasting bread. And the exhausted fishermen were so happy because they were so hungry, but they were also extremely happy to see Jesus. And they munched their breakfast and talked to Jesus again because they were all excited about his being alive. Our second story this morning is actually in the Bible, or a version of it is in the Bible in two places. But we're going to read the one that comes from the book of Luke, which is the third book of the New Testament. And it's coming out of the 24th chapter, and it starts with the 13th verse, and it says, "On the road to Emmaus." So let's read our story. After Jesus died, Cleopas and his friend were walking along the road to Emmaus. They talked about how Jesus had died, and they were wondering if he was really alive. As they walked, another man joined them. "What's wrong?" the stranger asked. "Have you not heard about Jesus?" they replied. "He was crucified and he died," Cleopas and his friend told the stranger. "But you know what? This morning some of his followers say that they saw Jesus alive." "Well, didn't the prophet say that God's son would die and rise again?" the stranger asked. As evening came, Cleopas and his friend invited the stranger to stay at their house. They went inside to eat. The minute the man broke the bread and blessed it and gave it to him, they suddenly realized that this stranger was Jesus, and they knew he was really alive again.